Really like the complexity of this part, the connecting rod. Let's get started building that in Autodesk Inventor. We're going to use a side or an XY and then a bidirectional extrude. So we're going to draw on the XY plane, and here we go. So let's draw right there on that one. New sketch. And let's just do a profile of all of this. And I'm going to start with the center rectangle. I like the idea of just taking this whole distance, maybe from all the way here to there. So that's 6.5 units from center to center. You'll see why I'm choosing that approach and then centering up. And then what we need is the height of this. And it looks to be like it's a quarter of, or 3/4 of an inch. And we can start building from there. So we can move this on the inside like this. We have too many digits again, so we know what to do. Units, reduce the number of digits. We want to circle out here, really two of them, for which we can do an extrude. So we're going to try a couple of different things, and I'm sure that they'll work out in the end. So we need two circles. One of them needs to be um, 1 inch, and the other one needs to be 1.25 in diameter. So that handles that part. And so what we're going to do is be able to make that an extrude cut so that we still get this shape. There's going to be a slot through the middle, so we can use the center to center slot. I like selecting right here on the x-axis, open that up a little bit. And we got a width of 1/2 inch, top to bottom, 0.5. Looks like I put a 0 in there by mistake. So let's double click on that and try it again. All right, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit, give you a better idea of what I'm doing. Okay, and then the position of this, it looks like it needs to be 3 inches from end to end. So let's see if it'll let us do that one. We'll probably have to click on the center and go like this. So that's the 3 inches on that part. And then what else do we have? We know that there's some kind of maybe, let's see, where is it relative to the side? Okay, so it looks like there is going to be 2 inches from this point to that point there. So looking at this measurement. Now I'm kind of surprised that it is not fully defined yet because we do have its position labeled. But we know what to do in that case, right? We can go up here and say show all degrees of freedom. And for some reason, it thinks that it can move left and right. And I'm not really sure why that is. So if we grab this, it says we can just move it up here into space. And what that means is that this line right here is not collinear with the x-axis. So what we can do then is say that let's make this, whoops, it's already horizontal, but really what I want this and this point right here to be horizontal together. So let me see if I can go click here and click there with a control click. And if we don't, doesn't seem like it really worked in that case. So what we're going to do is say that they're coincident instead. I was just thinking that that was the feature we used previously. Now there is a point right here. I don't really know what that is. I don't know if that's a dot. Yeah, it looks like it's just a dot I put in there by mistake. So those kinds of things happen. And the next thing we want to do is draw this semicircle attachment on the right-hand side of the connecting rod. And so why not just start with the center point at the midpoint and then go from top to bottom like this. And what we can even do is convince it that we're, doing this along the vertical axis by going like this. And let's see if that lines up. Looks like it might be okay. We want to have two of those arcs. So we'll have something to extrude. So I'm going to start on that line, arc around to there, and hopefully have something that's beginning to get fully constrained, making that a solid line. And of course, we're going to need to have a solid line out here as well. And what I did was I did not make that a visible line. So let's try that again. Looks better. You can see it is a length that here's the, well, at least the position to be known. Now we're going to get the length in here by setting these two radii. And so the inner radii is going to be 1 inch, and then the outer one is going to be 1.25 inches, according to the instructions. That's looking pretty good, and we do have it fully constrained, which is even better. Then we need to make this shape along the top. So what I'm going to do is just come up to the midpoint of, or the center of that circle and just make a platform up there. And then I'll make the top arch and the hole afterwards. So what I'm trying to say is we're going to start here. We're going to go up 0.25. Then we're going to go over this way. And how far do we need to go over there? I want to say it's half. So we're going to say 0.5 like that. And we're going along the top of this. And we need to go down, looks like just another 0.25. And then it's a matter of making an arc from that point over. So let's get these out of the way. And what we'll do is we'll make a mirror image of this shape in a moment so that we can achieve what we're looking for. All right, let's see. So we need this arch, and that, or the arc, looks to be 2 inches in radius. And what you do in this case is you just drop the center out here, guessing, start at this point, and you can see I didn't do a great job at that because it really needs to come down to that point. That's okay though. You can actually just, just have it go a little bit like that right there. And then, leave it there. And what you can do is move this around until it looks a little bit better. It doesn't look great. But let's go ahead and change the radius perhaps. So we change the radius of this. Whoops, not that one. This one right here, going to change that one to 2 inches. And the other thing that we know is it needs to be coincident with this. You can see it kind of slopes down or swoops down, and we have a coincident end with this right here. We also need to make sure that it's tangent so that there's a smooth transition. So we'll say tangent between this one and that one. And you see that looks a lot better. It almost looks like it made a mistake, but this right here is just the extension was the dimension. Now that does not look right because it should not go through that piece right here. So let's go through carefully and see where it is that we made the mistake. Oh yeah, it looks like I didn't go over this amount somehow. So what we can do is look at that point and then delete this constraint because we need to move this over some. So hopefully it'll let us move this like so. And we finished this part, but what I did not do, looks like it's just the same thing there, is go over to the left. And I think we're supposed to go a distance of, I want to say 0.25. Now we can reconnect the end of that circle, which I think moved way down here. We can try to pull it up there, and then we can just use our coincident tool and look at that. So that's how you handle mistakes, is you just start removing constraints until you get back to where you want to go. We have a fully constrained part again. Maybe at this point, it's time to do a mirror image, so we can put this down on the bottom as well. And then we'll try to see if we can do this mid-plane extrusion to get very close to an end product. So let's start with mirror approach. And the approach that we're using here is called the Bourne approach, where we don't really start extruding until the very last moment, I guess you could say. And here's the mid-plane. And you don't really see the reflection until you hit apply. That looks good. So instead of making the big shape and then starting to cut away, instead what we're doing is doing all of the drawings and then extruding only what we need. And I'm going to leave all these visible lines here because it's fully constrained, and hopefully we can achieve what we're looking for by doing the extrude. Now this middle point right here, the middle of this extrusion is going to be a half an inch. So we want to start extruding right there, 0.5. Okay, now where did my extrude window go? Oh, it's way over here. This is important that I show this to you because we don't want to hit OK necessarily. We want to hit um, a plus sign to do another part of this. I like how it does not include that as part of our extrusion. That's really good. But what we do want to include is all of this and all of this. As you can see here, that flat surface goes all the way up there. All right, so that's pretty good. And then it looks like the width of this piece right over here is going to be, oh, let's see. Looks like it's going to have the same width as the other one. And so down on this end, it's going to be 1 inch. So I'm thinking that the next step here is do a plus sign. And then this one needs to be 1. And we need to have that be this shape right there. Might have to click 3 times. It's a good idea to maybe look at this to make sure we're going the right direction. And you see that I've already made a mistake because I forgot to do a mid-plane extrusion. So we might have to come back to that first extrusion and make it mid-plane in a moment. But for now, we can go in here and make this correct. That's much better. And then, of course, we're going to do the same thing over here. Wonder how many clicks we're going to need to achieve that. So let's orbit around and oops, that's not it. So in that case, what you do is, let's see, can I hit Control Z or just click it again to remove it? Yeah, it looks like I messed up there. That's okay, because just remove all of them, I suppose. And do this. Do we have a mid-plane extrusion? Needs to be 1. And yeah, see this one right here is going to be a half, but it's going to be, a quarter of an inch back that way once we fix it. All right, and before we get back to that, let's keep going. I'll correct that mistake in a moment. And I did the wrong thing again. Let's see, can you cancel that one? So it's hard to know, like, how do you remove one of those unless maybe you click here and see if you can remove one. Doesn't look like there's a way to remove it. Even Control Z. Oh yeah, that doesn't help at all. Okay, and at least we got the one extrusion in there. But we can go back and fix that one right now. So just go ahead and say Edit Feature and make this a mid-plane extrusion. Let's make sure it looks good. Much better. Then we can go back and say plus, and we're going to do this outer one. Now I'm going to be a little more careful with my clicking, so I don't have to go back and redo. So let's maybe face the front, go in a bit, and click just the right places. Not that one. We really want this outer ring right there. I've noticed that be the case where if you're zoomed too far back, it will assume you want the whole thing. So now we're good. And we have that one to be 1. Now we're really going to press our luck here on this next part because we're going to try to do this extrusion right here. This middle plane, it looks like there's a hole through there, but if you look closely at it, there is a 0.125 emboss in there or a recessed area. The whole width of that is 0.5. So we're going to say do another one and then face our side, go in a little bit more. And this is the one we want to pull out there. Now the distance, we want to take basically the entire width of it, then subtract off 0.125 times 2 because we want it from both sides of the handle. So you can do math in there and click OK and look at that. Beautiful part. Now we're not done yet. We need to make the arch up here on the top. But we're getting close. So let's do a sketch up here. We'll do this quickly. So new sketch, and why not just make a circle? We'll lock that into the midpoint, go around, and then we'll go right here, and we have this small hole in the middle. So we'll do an extrude and then followed by a cut. I love that feature of Autodesk Inventor where it lets you do those two operations at the same time using a single sketch. Now the diameter of this middle hole is 0.25. That's what I was looking for. And the other one is fully locked in. So at this point, we are ready. I always like to go over to this angle and then maybe zoom in. I wonder if I could start using this area here and just say zoom selected and go like that. But it doesn't seem like it really wants to do what I was thinking. So we will just use our scroll wheel to zoom instead. It's time to do an extrude. We're going to extrude this outer part. And this one, we want to go all the way to the back. So we're not doing a mid-plane extrusion. I don't know if it's going to allow us to go up to the next surface. What we can do is say right there that we can say 2, or we can actually type in that. I'm going to try to show you how to use this select face and just select that one right there. And it goes up to the surface. We don't really need to do the bottom one, but I don't know, why not? It thinks I'm doing a cut now, so it has some intelligence to it, but it actually didn't do what I wanted it to do. That's okay though. So we hit the plus sign because we want to cut out this middle part. And so make sure it's a cut. And we're going to say through all. And I think that's it. At least as far as the first image, we can stare at it, look around, make sure it's got a nice hole through the middle, make sure everything matches up. And then it's time for a mirror. This time it's going to be a mirror image in the three-dimensional sense, the 3D model. So here it is up here. And the features we want to grab are the last two, this extrusion cut and this extrusion boss. In the mirror plane, we can select from our tree over here. And it looks like it's going to be, we can look down here as well, the ZX plane. Looks good. Hopefully it gives us a preview of that. You can see it right down there. Click OK. And let's change this material. Now what I want you to do is I want you to change it to carbon steel. I'm going to do mine different so that I don't give away the weight on this. So I'm going to go over here and I'll just make this part into brass or lead or something. Glass would be interesting. And so the weight when I do that is only 1/4 pound. So we'll hit apply. And you can see that this now it's a transparent piece. It doesn't mean we still can't do our engraving on there. It just means it gives us this very unique look. Now we want to engrave the weight on here. And how about we put it in this slot right here? So start sketching on this area. And we want to put some text in there. And usually we go like this, select all of that. And this is where we start typing. Now I'm going to put 0. I think it said 5. I can't remember what I saw now. Maybe it said 1/4 pound. Regardless, you need to put something different in there because you're going to be using carbon steel. Now, when we start looking at the text, when we insert that in, it's certainly going to be too small, almost always, and it's also not centered. So in those cases, what you do normally is just double click on that. Oh, looks like it's trying to make another one. So we'll hit escape. So it's off of the text tool and then double click on it so we can modify some of the features. I like the fact that we can make it centered here and also centered that way. That way it's going to be centered up in this square that we drew, which is almost, I guess, almost kind of symmetric. We could say, let's go to that point and that point just to be really careful about it. Then we double click on it again. We need a bigger font. It says to make it Arial black as well. In this case, we have to do Control A to select it in order to change the font to Arial. Arial black. And I think it said use 0.4. 0.4. And let's see if that's going to be too big. We might have to change the instructions. I guess that's okay. We're only going to go just a little bit in the depth for the engrave. Engrave is basically the second option over here. And then the profile, what we're trying to engrave is this one, which turns green. And I wonder if that's enough for it to go. We do want to make this 1 millimeter in depth, which corresponds to 0.04 approximately. And let's see how that looks. Yeah, not bad. Now yours is going to look a little bit different to give you an idea. You're going to go part, eye properties, physical, and I was going to change mine to some other metal. PT plastic is actually not a bad choice either. Oh, water? What's that going to do? Turn it into water. I guess that means it's an ice sculpture now. Who knew? I guess they're using water as a case where you're making a swimming pool or a tank full of water. It gives you some realistic things there. So I guess we have a block of ice here. All right, before you finish here, make sure you change the material to carbon steel and put the proper weight in there and then save that one. Hope you enjoyed this video. I really kind of like making these parts. It's kind of just enjoy the complexity of it. We're going to save this as part 7.3 inside of our chapter. So I think I need to go back to a previous folder. I think I'll just save it in the Baja folder for now. I'll put it in the root. Okay. 7.3. And that's it. All right. I will see you in the next video.